Welcome to the Hogsty, your absolutely unofficial leading source for the Redskins and the NFL. Since we last saw you, the team went and burned another $50 million, released Chris Culliver, and signed a smattering of undrafted free agents. We're here to guide you through all that right here on the Hogsty. Stick with us.
It's the Hogsty.
Do it!
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. So glad to have you. Another Saturday morning here, nice and early. Usually we have Hogsty late night. Today is a Hogsty early morning. So we're all here getting woken up. Happy to be with you again. My name's Sean Conti. We've got Alex Zeese back from his Mediterranean vacation.
Hey, how's it going, guys?
We dragged him back in.
Little tip. If you go to Athens, don't make jokes about Sparta. They're still not over that whole war from 2,000 years ago.
They have long
Way
memories.
back to 500 BC, huh?
Did you yell, "This is Sparta"?
No, I asked, is this Sparta a lot?
Is this Sparta?
Got kicked into a bottomless pit. Well,
That's why it took me so long to get back.
Yeah, okay. Well, there you go. Hopefully it was an awesome vacation. Hella jealous.
Thanks.
Our voice of Leonidas over here would be Mr. Robbie Duncan. How are you this morning, Robbie?
I'm waking up late night last night, getting off work, but I'm ready to roll.
Oof.
Nice.
Hard at work as always. Mr. Steve Thomas rounds us out. How are you, Steve?
I'm here. Yeah, it's a little odd not doing this at 11 p.m.
Yeah,
We're
seriously.
here early in the morning instead of it's not dark out.
Well, is that Mark Bullock's fault? I know I missed a good Bullock
No,
interview.
we had
so.
Bullock woken up at 2:30 in the morning his time to do it.
Yeah, he was shockingly willing to stick with us, though. It was impressive.
You know what? And
He's
on
a
top,
vampire, like
well, on
we
top
said.
of that, we cut him off halfway through Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that's
Don't
right.
spoil it. I still have to catch up.
Okay.
It's like, Mark, this has been fun and all, but we gotta watch Game of Thrones.
No, but Mark was halfway through the episode and cut it off to join us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Priorities, man.
2:30 a.m. London time.
Where are his priorities?
Not sleep.
Keep in mind, too, quick
He
side
basically
note here.
lives in our time, though.
Yeah, he seems like he's
he truly is a
on our
vampire.
schedule.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great Game of Thrones, by the way, Alex. I'm kind of jealous. You get to come home to the news of Josh Norman, you get to come home to the news of all the drafts, and you get to come home to a sweet new Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
Awesome
Yeah.
way to return from vacay. Well,
That's the only way to return.
yeah. Well, let's actually get right into it, and maybe you can kick us off here because you did not get to experience the draft live. You saw the whole thing as a great masterpiece after the fact. So, what were your thoughts on the draft, Alex? We've kind of talked the people to death about this.
Well, I will just say it is nice when you're 7 hours ahead and you can wake up each morning to see what happened in the draft. You're not stuck there watching it live. You know, wake up, have breakfast, and with my cappuccino, I was looking at, oh, we drafted a wide receiver? Well, that's odd. That didn't make any sense to me at first. But it looks like we got a good guy there. You know, to me, it pretty much just crystallized the future of what the receiver position is going to be for us now.
Right.
Yeah.
That and the Jordan Reed news that we'll get into later.
Yeah.
Obviously, I'm very happy with our 5th round pick for certain reasons. You know, as in, you know, I'm wearing a Temple T-shirt right now, so
Right.
you know, happy to see we got somebody from my alma mater, and I might even buy a jersey or something. Craven seems interesting. That's a kind of tweener player that I've, you know, always kind of coveted. That 4-6 type of safety. So I'll be curious to see how we utilize him.
Sure. And speaking of alma maters, you and I are both covered now.
Yeah.
Because you had Ionitis, and now I've got Mr. Coastal Carolina roaming the backfield there. So what an exciting time for our schools.
Yeah,
I'm waiting for the ODU draft pick eventually.
Who would have thought any football team would have people from Temple and Coastal Carolina on the same roster?
Yeah.
That's right. I believe only 4 Coastal players total have ever been drafted.
Underdogs.
Yeah, so it's a major underdog thing.
Robbie, your school will have its time. I feel confident that we'll see some ODU guys before long.
Well, they have
Well,
one, Taylor Heineke.
If Taylor sees the field on an actual Sunday, then we got to get him on.
Sure.
Yeah.
But anyway,
Yeah, so draft-wise, Alex, were you kind of amused to see that in terms of the Hogsty's draft predictions, we were 0 for, however many we predicted.
Yeah. I mean, I was a little shocked by, what Scott McLuhan, but it really seems like he just goes BPA throughout the draft. The only issue I had was with him trading out of the 4th round completely.
Right. We talked about that too.
We all had an issue
and
with that.
we talked about it before the draft quite a lot, especially Robbie and I. This is a draft where it was really deep. You'd think the 4th round is where you'd be finding a lot of value picks, but I guess Scott McLuhan disagrees. Overall, though, I think we did a good job, and we'll see how these guys pan out.
You need to give a letter grade because we all gave a letter grade.
Okay, letter grade. Let's go B-.
Oh,
okay.
Wow. So you have the lowest grade. I was a B. Sean was a B+. Robbie, what'd you give?
It was a B+.
B+. And so you give a B-. Yeah.
It's the number of picks that irks me.
Well, it was that and Will Fuller.
And not drafting an offensive lineman.
Yeah. It was that and Kendall Fuller is what bothered me and what dragged me down. I didn't like Kendall Fuller.
Yeah, he did not like the cornerback pick.
Injury history, we all know how that went with guys like Malcolm Kelly.
Well, the result of Kendall Fuller's presence was, drum roll please.
We had a slight change to the roster, so this moves us into the next thing. Sorry, not to take all the energy out of the drum roll, but Chris Culliver.
It was a terrible drum roll.
Yeah, that was a pretty pathetic drum roll.
I don't have a drum. I was just drumming on the computer.
Maybe Alex can add a drum roll sound later on.
Yeah, we'll do it in post.
That requires licensing issues. I don't know.
We have to pay royalties to whoever drums. But anyways, Chris Culliver is Chris Cuttiver, and I think that helped save a little money, because that was another area that we needed to seriously create some room in was the money. But also, we had the kind of this dearth of cornerbacks. You kind of felt like a head was going to roll somewhere, and again, because of that contract situation, I feel like Culliver was sort of the obvious choice. So, any thoughts? Has anybody losing tears over Chris Culliver?
Yeah, I have thoughts. I mean, Culliver's a talented dude that we misused in terms of, we put him in we've used a zone coverage scheme, and he's really more of a man coverage guy. He had a really big number, in terms of his contract. Right. I hate to see him go just because we cut talent for someone who's unproven, and that bugs me. But he didn't really fit the scheme.
Yeah, I don't know if it was a scheme thing, but he's not an off man. He has to be up front and in the guy's face. And we didn't do that enough. You can still do that in cover 3, but we just didn't.
We never did it. Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't like to see him go. I agree that he's very talented, and I mean we talked about the potential of him playing safety, with the loaded amount of cornerbacks we now have on this roster. But well, that's all out the window now, and you can pretty much throw away all of our Chris Culliver talk from our last podcast,
right?
Considering it came out after the news broke.
We did the podcast, and then 5 minutes later, the news broke.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Scott.
I saw that. That was kind of that happens. We're not live.
Yeah.
So.
The world of podcasting. Yeah. So let's talk about how that cornerback position then looks. So Chris Culliver is gone, but it would seem that for the most part, the starting rotations. I mean, it's great to have extra rotational guys, but it seems like we're pretty set. I mean, we know who's going to be back there for the most part.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've got Norman and Breland are going to be our starters pretty clearly.
Exactly.
Right.
Very clear. Right.
Remember, we signed a guy, Greg Toller, this offseason, who everybody seems to have forgotten about. And then we've got Kendall Fuller, the rookie, and then the 2 guys from last year who were both pretty good, Quentin Dunbar and DeShazer Everett. And so I don't know if we're going to keep 6 corners. We may actually.
No, more people will be gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we need bodies for camp too.
Right.
I mean, you got to have guys that can play the first team, second team, third team, even fourth team. But I look at this as a bigger sign of praise for Dunbar. Like they felt the need to they could give away or cut away Chris Culliver, and I think they see a lot of promise in Dunbar to keep developing, behind Toller. And Scott McLuhan even mentioned that Will Blackman's going to play some safety here and there too. So that'll change around the corner rotation too.
Oh, I forgot about Blackman. Yeah, so we actually have 7 guys, not 6.
Hold on.
Listed as corners, yeah.
Is that 7?
It's Norman, Breland, Everett, Dunbar, Toller, Fuller, and Blackman. 7.
Okay. Yeah.
So we're just not going to keep 7. Period.
No,
so 1 or 2 of those guys are going to be gone.
Yeah.
And that's the interesting question: is who would be the odd man out there? Because
Everett.
Yeah.
yeah, I think so too. That's my first reaction anyway. Because to me, you've got Dunbar and Fuller, who are two very young guys who could be groomed really quickly into potential starting roles. And they're already behind two very good starters. And then you have veteran depth behind that. Which, I mean, we're in a great situation right now at
They
corner.
may not get 6. It may be 2 of them that are gone.
Maybe, but if we plan on having the guys in their 30s kind of rotate into the safety spot, I could see 6.
Yeah, I mean, it's just a numbers game. If you keep 6 cornerbacks, you have to keep one less somewhere else.
Sure.
And maybe they will.
We may have to have only one kicker.
Right.
I don't know if our friend of the show, Dustin Hopkins, can punt. So that may not work out very well.
Oh, no. A kicker and a punter, but we're not going to do like a 2-kicker thing.
Oh.
Yeah, I think that's out the window.
All right.
You know what else I would just ask and be curious for your guys' thoughts on with the cornerback thing? How exactly we're going to play these two guys? I'm speaking obviously about Norman and Breland. Is this going to be a situation where we see one of them kind of definitely on one side all the time? Or are they both going to move around more? I mean, what do you guys think about that? Because I've heard both things.
I think we talked about Norman a little bit a couple weeks ago, but I think what's going to happen is they're going to be on the left and right side. I would assume Norman on the right and Breland on the left. Because I believe that's what side Norman played in Carolina, was on the right. But in light of the fact that we have this cover 3 base scheme, essentially, I don't think they're going to rotate. I don't think you're going to have Norman, track the number 1 wide receiver all the time, mainly because he's a lot like D'Angelo Hall was, and that he's an expert in setting back in his zone, setting cornerbacks up, using his athleticism to jump a route, using his ball skills to track the ball in the air. He's not an expert man coverage guy, nor do you want him to do that, because that eliminates that part of his game if you have to do press man. And so what you want is both of those guys sitting in zone. I think Breland has an opportunity to be a pretty darn good press man guy, but that's not really what we're doing.
Right.
No. And I think you brought up a great example, the early D'Angelo Hall years.
Right.
If you look at the interceptions that Norman's made, it's by the skin of his teeth, pure athleticism. So that's a great example.
Yeah, but he has just a nose for the football. He just has an eye for it in the air.
As Hall did early in his career.
Yes.
And Breland, I think, he's going to be getting a lot of shots taken at him with Norman on the other side. So this could be a potential even more of a breakout year for him.
Yeah, I wouldn't be off put by this if I were him.
No, he's going to get tested, and he's going to get a chance to really prove himself. So I think he should be ready to prove everybody wrong and show him what he can do.
Yeah.
So my question is really, who's our natural slot corner at this point?
It's Kendall Fuller.
Kendall Fuller?
I don't know. Rookie, I mean, I think we need to see how these guys develop, because, Dunbar in particular.
Is it Craven, maybe?
No. I mean, they can move him out there here and there depending on different packages and stuff, but he's not going to be your starting nickel.
Okay.
He'll be your strong safety in base, and then move down to linebacker and nickel and dime packages. But it's going to be Fuller, maybe not right off the bat, but maybe Greg Toller's in the nickel until Fuller's ready and all that stuff. But I'd be shocked if it's not Fuller as our nickel corner.
Okay, because Dunbar just seems more like a lengthy, you would put him on the outside guy, so that's why I was kind of curious.
Yeah. He'd be a rotational guy for those other...
My bet would be Dunbar would be the next guy in on the outside.
Yeah. So he can come give somebody a break.
Yeah. Just he has the size.
Yep.
Dunbar still has
Makes
a lot
sense.
to learn, I mean, he used his athleticism, and he's clearly a film study guy from what we can tell and from what we've heard. But he really has a lot to learn in terms of, playing the position at a professional level using something other than just his natural athleticism.
Well, sure, but he does have the benefit of having a whole off season to work on it and to watch more film. I mean, last off season he was preparing to be a wide receiver in the NFL.
Yeah,
and then in training camp was switched to corner and was basically learning on the fly and made an impact. So I mean, maybe a whole off season makes a world of difference for him.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Well,
Just look what he's done with just a little bit of time so far.
And he's apparently a film nut and a film junkie.
Yeah.
We've all forgotten about Greg Toller. I mean, does he have a future? He's on. I
think he does.
He's on a min salary contract here. So it's not like he's making big money and it's going to cost us a fortune. We could get rid of him tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, my hunch is this is all going to get clarified as the guys hit the field in the offseason here and go up against each other.
Not to mention there will be injuries. There will be, a lot of little things that we'll see.
Yeah, the Grim Reaper has been hovering over, Redskins Park for several years now. Really has.
But like you said, we're 7 deep. I feel good about the 7 guys we have. So,
and there may be someone emerge, one of these undrafted free agent types, may come out of nowhere too. You never know. It's happened before.
Hell yeah. Time will tell. All of this is going to get clarified. Very excited. It seems like a couple years ago we had nothing going on at cornerback, and then, like Alex said, we have 7 semi-viable options. So good things will rise to the top there. Let's move on and talk about our other big signing that happened this past week since the last time we saw you in our last episode. So the Redskins went and blew another $50 million, and this time it went to a guy that I don't think anybody's going to be too terribly disappointed we locked in. That would be Mr. Jordan Reed. So Jordan Reed, the Shanahan man himself, the first pick of Shanahan's tenure here on the team, he is getting inked up with a nice big 5-0 deal. Good for you, Jordan. Couldn't be happier.
Well, first of all, Spotrac does not have all the details of the contract yet, but they're actually saying it was 5 years, $46.5 million.
Yeah.
Not 50 million.
Savings.
Yeah.
Hashtag savings.
And the sort of the rumor on the street was that it had 22 million guaranteed, but the problem is we don't know the structure of the guarantee, which means everything in terms of the salary cap hit and whatnot.
Right.
I'm sure a lot of it counts on him being healthy too.
Right, which has been obviously a problem.
I'm sure there's some game bonuses.
Yeah, but those don't count towards the guaranteed, that affects the salary cap.
No.
Like the incentives don't count. So the guarantee or the signing bonus, roster bonuses basically, and they can structure it so it's paid on this year and that year, and it's not like it has to be evenly an even distribution like a rookie contract. So it could be anything.
Now, am I thinking of him or Norman, where I heard that it was probably more like one of those deals where it's a 5-year deal, but it's really a 2-year deal?
Most of these deals are like that.
But I would think, Stephen, you probably would agree, I'm assuming, that Jordan Reed would probably be, we don't have the details, but that was probably a much team-friendlier deal than they would give to a guy like Josh Norman because of Jordan's previous injury history.
Josh Norman's deal is pretty team-friendly too, though. It had a descending annual salary cap hit. It wasn't front-loaded, back-loaded, too terribly. Josh Norman's a pretty good contract for us. If you just do some basic math, I mean, Jordan Reed's going to have an annual salary of about $9.3 million if you just do an even distribution, which isn't a terrible number. It's considering, if he becomes an elite, makes a Pro Bowl, becomes the elite tight end that we all probably, I assume, think he can. It's probably worth that much. And in terms of the 2-year deal, Sean, I mean, what you're talking about is it probably means that at about year 3, probably the cap savings would exceed the dead money, which would mean they could get rid of him. But we don't know yet.
Sure.
Yeah, but, I mean, the way I look at it is Jordan Reed is our offense. We've said that many times, throughout the season this past year.
Oh yeah.
The offense goes through him, and he is Kirk Cousins' go-to weapon. He's his security blanket. He's pretty much everything we need in this offense to make things click, and he's worth every penny in this contract. I just hope he can continue to stay healthy.
Right.
Well, to me, the big thing about this is it pretty much just locked up what our receiving core looks like for the next 3 years at least, if not more. With Reed, Crowder, and the rookie, is it Doxson?
Doxson, yeah.
Doxson. Those 3, I mean, that's going to be your receiving core, regardless of what happens to Garcon or Jackson.
For the distant future, for the long-term future, yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, that's what I mean, long-term.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, next 3 years, next 5 years, it's those guys.
Yeah, get used to seeing those dudes in uniform.
As long as the coaching staff stays. If the coaching staff changes out, there's all bets are off.
Well, I'm getting more and more excited about Josh Doxson, by the way. I think he's going to be a big surprise for us.
Well, he's got some guns. I'll say that. All the videos, he's got the Laurent Landry.
Yeah, he's a beast.
Don't say that. Let's not compare him to a steroid user, please. Don't change
okay.
It says he's 6'2", but he looks bigger than 6'2".
He was significantly bigger than Sua Craven.
And Sua Craven's is 6'1", isn't he?
Yes, 6'1".
That's what he's listed.
He looks like he's more like 6'4", honestly.
Maybe he was slouching.
Wow,
when, they measured him.
Usually you hear the NFL pads those stats, but it sounds like he might actually be a little taller
the
than he's
NFL doesn't
listed
really
as.
pad the stats, actually. Too bad.
They had like Brandon Banks is like 6'1".
The combine,
I swear.
The combine measurements go tell the real tale, though. Those are real.
Where they do tend to pad them, Sean, is the guys who are exceptionally short.
Right.
The Brandon Banks, Santana Moss. Yeah. Remember, they always said Santana Moss was 6'10", or 5'10". Everyone's
he's
like,
no,
5'8".
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you just don't want to totally humiliate a guy.
Yeah. You know what? I think if you're a pro football player, number 89 for the Redskins, making millions and millions of dollars each year, I don't think you can be humiliated.
If you retire in the top 10 receivers on the team.
Exactly.
Yeah, you made your point. Yeah, short or not.
By the way, Santana Moss got a master's degree from the University of
Miami. I saw that
this week, so congratulations, Santana.
Yeah.
Good for you, Santana.
Did you see what it was in? I didn't notice that part.
Which is
good
smart.
for him.
There you
Yeah,
go.
absolutely good for him.
Doing his thing. Glad to see guys post-football doing good things like that. It's awesome. Well, unless anybody has any other grand thoughts on Jordan Reed, we can talk about the greater context that this contract stuff is coming in. So Rich Tandler wrote this article on the 6th, so what was that? Just yesterday, about the next players in line for big contracts. Cool article. We all read it. Anybody have major thoughts they want to start off with this one? I can list the guys that he mentioned as next in line.
Summarize the article for us, Sean.
I mean,
Sure.
the list is not any big surprise, obviously.
No, yeah, exactly. It's
one is to me.
yeah. Well, and let's talk about that.
I'll touch on that. Go ahead and list it.
Sure. So the first guy, obviously, he's talking about is Kirk Cousins. No surprise there. Dude's on a one-year franchise deal as of right now. So that's going to have to get clarified, and that's all going to happen in the context of this season. He also mentioned Chris Baker. And the other guys would be Pierre Garçon and Deshaun Jackson. That's pretty straightforward. Both of them are coming to the end of their contracts. Something's going to have to give there. And then the next two are Bashad Breeland and Morgan Moses. And I think that's the one that surprises you, right, Robbie?
Yes.
Let's just get Breeland. I think Breeland and Moses are the two that would be the most controversial. So let's just start there. And I know Robbie's got thoughts on Morgan Moses.
Yeah.
Breeland, I think, as long as he continues to do what he's been doing, I think he definitely deserves some kind of extension. Maybe not a big payday, but an extension for sure. Morgan Moses, however, he made a huge jump in development this past year, which was very refreshing. I mean, it didn't force Brandon Scherf to play tackle, which he probably would have been okay, but not as good as he was at guard. But there's still a lot that Morgan Moses has to work on and fix technique-wise. I pointed it out all year. I mean, he's doing really well. He's playing very physical, too. I mean, like he was finishing plays. I mean, the effort's there. I didn't see that kind of effort from him in his college film back before he was drafted. So it's good stuff to see that he's, Callahan's getting this out of him. But I think it's crazy to talk like big money extension or even a Chris Baker type extension before the contract extension that Chris Baker got 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Or last year?
Something like that.
Yeah, we'll talk about
it. Not like that. I think you have to see a whole lot more before you can even talk any kind of extension for him yet. So this may be a little controversial. I mean, Redskins fans love what he did and think he's a potential all-pro player or whatever now, but he's not there yet.
Well, I would just say to counter that a little, he plays right tackle, which is usually one of the lowest paid positions on the offensive line. Now,
which makes no sense to me.
Yeah, I know, right or wrong, and I'm kind of with you. I feel like right tackles and centers are both underpaid for some reason. It's very odd. But if we're talking about extending him for another 3 years and seeing if the development continues next year, I don't really have a big problem with that. You're not going to break the bank on the guy. We're not talking $20 million in like 3 years. We're talking,
right.
We're talking $3 or $4 million a year for the guy.
Yeah,
which
well, that was
is
my thought.
League average.
Yeah, you're not going to pay him an average of $10 million. He's not going to get a Trent Williams contract. But if you just think about some of the if you just think about some of the contracts that Scott McGowan has handed out, he re-signed Josh Laribas, which I think we all think he's improved, a little bit. He's re-signed some players. So Morgan Moses is a guy who's better than some of those guys he's re-signed. He's absolutely going to get re-signed. It's just a matter of the numbers, and I think
keep in mind with Moses and Breland, we have 2 years.
The CBA says you can't re-sign these guys until after their third year. So
they're going into their third year now. Right. So we're talking about next summer, even this being a big issue. But now Breland, I think we all agree, no brainer, right?
Yeah, no brainer
to re-sign. But if he's going to want elite money, I don't know about that.
No, I don't think he hasn't made a Pro Bowl yet. He shouldn't be asking for Pro Bowl money.
He has a high opinion of his abilities, though.
I know
he does.
Which
and it's not misplaced.
No, you could argue that he probably is Pro Bowl caliber, but he hasn't gotten there yet.
Yeah, which has been a nice thing for us because it means we don't have to pay him that yet. When he does, that's when we're going to run into trouble.
Though, like I mentioned earlier.
That's right, and
like you said, Norman is going to help him.
Yeah, there's a lot of reasons to be excited for that tandem there. So we'll see what happens. Do you guys want to talk anything at all about Pierre Garçon and Deshaun Jackson? I mean, we've mentioned this in previous episodes, but I mean, it's safe to assume at least one of them's gone, right?
I'm starting to think they're both gone.
Yeah, that would be my tendency too. I'm leaning that way, but at least one of them certainly by next year would be gone.
I mean, my only thing would be if Garçon wants to come back and is willing to come back on a team-friendly kind of deal. He brings some good leadership. He's that kind of receiver who he can play until his mid to late 30s and still be effective.
Right.
Yeah. If I had to pick between the two, I might pick Deshaun for a couple-year extension over Garçon if you have to pick one or the other, because I think Deshaun has more elite skills. And he's going to keep his speed for another couple of years. Whereas, we love Garçon. He's a gamer. He's a quality receiver. Pro Bowl, borderline Pro Bowl talent. But I don't think he's the elite blue player, if you will, to use Scott McGowan's terminology. Yeah. And
fact of the matter is, I'm sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Continue. No, I just said I think if you had to pick one, I'd probably pick Deshaun.
Yeah, and I would agree completely because you can find other guys to play like Garçon, but that ability to completely stretch the field like that, I know Deshaun's not going to show up to play every single game. That's been his problem. He still brings that elite speed and the ability to stretch the field. He can mess the plays up for the other team even when he doesn't get the ball. I think you probably keep him if you got to pick.
Well, plus Pierre Garçon is like a running back out and playing wide receiver. Excuse me, I can't talk right now. He's taken a huge toll on his body. Like the way he plays, it's like a running back getting tackled every running play. He how much longer could he last? He's just constantly just boom, 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 punishing his body just to give the all-out effort that we all like about him.
I mean, in the end, they're both going to be 30, 31 when their contract's up.
Right.
I just don't see speed receivers. We all know after 30 they start going downhill quick.
Right. That's true too.
I'm much more cautious about Deshaun Jackson because of that.
That's a great point.
Good leg injury and he's done. He has no value to a team if his speed goes.
That's right. And he has a history of those nagging hamstring problems. So
here's the thing, though.
It's a great point.
We drafted Garçon's replacement.
Yeah, we did. But
Josh Doxson is Garçon. You can't find a guy.
He's Garçon with burst.
Yeah, but you can't find a guy who has Deshaun Jackson's burst and his ability to track the ball in the air. It's not just if it was just speed, there'd be a whole host of guys who are Deshaun Jackson, but it's not. Deshaun Jackson has other skills beyond just running fast. That's why
he does. He is one of the best deep ball receivers in the history of the game, as far as his prime years.
Probably so, yeah.
But his prime years we're hitting the tail end. Just if you're looking at a normal receiver's career.
Well, I'm not talking about extending for 5 years. I just mean if you're going to keep one of them for another couple years, my opinion of it is I would keep Deshaun.
I don't know. I would say look in the draft, get the guys with the high 40 times next year.
Yeah.
Find another Rashad Ross. Because what we need is to think of it as the 3 guys who we know are going to be here. What do you need to make them more effective? And, another deep ball guy is going to help. Somebody who's an example would be like a Todd Pinkston, somebody who just runs streak routes on the edge all the time.
Aldrick
Robinson. There's another great example. Anthony Armstrong, even.
Wow. Taking me back with Anthony Armstrong.
But by the way, Anthony Armstrong...
It could be your 3rd guy, your 4th guy.
Anthony Armstrong is a real estate agent in Dallas now. So if anybody wants to buy a house in Dallas, and is a Redskin fan, call up old Anthony. He'll help you.
I was just going to ask if he was still in the NFL. I lost track of him.
He's not.
Okay.
No, he went to the Cowboys, not Texans.
And now he's selling houses.
Yeah.
Oh, all right.
Good for him. He's got a career.
Good for Tony.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I hope the housing market's looking good for him. So,
that's my point. Is you can find deep threats.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
not
absolutely.
Like Deshaun,
that's true.
Deshaun is. I mean, we don't have a replacement for Deshaun yet. I think it. Certainly depends on what happens in the draft next year, right?
Right.
Yeah. And absolutely. And it comes down to money and how far apart everybody is when that conversation starts.
We can't have, 2 guys. We can't have a whole bunch of players on. On elite, on max money contracts,
right?
Right.
So we can't have, there's just a limit to the number of contracts like that we can have,
right? Mm-hmm. And having 2 receivers both on the top end of the big contracts,
right?
That's not realistic.
No,
right.
Some will have to gig. So let's move on from this topic to our smattering of new acquisitions here. But I just want to ask you guys quick first. We can skip talking about Kirk Cousins' new contract. We've talked about that enough, and we will in the future. But
Baker.
Anybody want to mention anything about Baker? Yeah, I mean, Alex, I don't know if you saw while you were gone, but Baker jumped into Scott McLuhan's press conference and without Scott McLuhan knowing, asked him if there was any money left.
This is the new face of the franchise on defenses.
He's a funny
not the
motherfucker.
Best player, but he is the personality.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, Baker's 28, but he plays a position where you can go a little bit longer than you could in some of the skill positions. I hate the term skill, but I don't want to use it instead of the ball carrying positions because they're all skilled players.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steve.
I think it's absolutely right, and you have a right to be offended by that. But point is, he's not making a small amount of money now. He's making $2.7 million. So but he's developed as a player. He's become. I think he's solidified at this point as a starting defensive end. Sometimes nose tackle. So I definitely think that we will extend him, but it'll be something along the lines of a 3-year contract, making about the same money.
Maybe a little more, like $1 million more each year, that kind of thing.
More, yeah. But I don't see how we can not extend him, given that we didn't really draft a starter this year to replace him.
Right.
No. Ioannidis could develop into a good backup for, and very similar player to Baker, too.
I think he could potentially be our starting nose in our base
he
package,
could.
too.
That's what they're talking about. They're talking about having him put on 15, 20 pounds and becoming our starting nose. And so then you'd have, theoretically, Baker, Ioannidis, and then I guess Paya on the other side.
Paya. Making me hungry.
See, I don't think so. I think before we go off too much of it on a tangent, I think our starting D-line will be, this is my prediction, it's going to be Baker, Ioannidis at nose, and Trent Murphy.
I think Trent Murphy's on his way out. I think they're trying to find a place to play for Trent Murphy more so than they think Trent Murphy's actually going to do well.
You don't think
Maybe.
RJF will be on there, Robbie?
I think RJF is going to stay on the team over.
He'll stay on the team, but I think Trent Murphy is going to surprise people on the D line and be a starter with Paya and RJF coming off on the in the rotation.
I don't have a problem with that because we don't run a 3-4 really anymore anyway. So
exactly.
Yeah.
Well, did any of that get clarified with, did any of our defensive line positions get clarified with this new group of people who were acquired? I hear we got some defensive linemen in this group. Is it all, depth, Robbie, or is there anything?
Free agents?
I am indeed. Are there any gems in this group?
Let me go ahead and list them off. Scott signed Tevin Carter, safety from Utah. Reggie Diggs, wide receiver from Richmond. Ejiro Ederain, linebacker from Fresno State. Joe Gore, tackle from Clemson. Dominique Jackson, offensive lineman from Alabama. Rob Kelly, running back from Tulane. Joe Carriage, fullback from Michigan. Anthony Lanier, DN from Alabama A&M. Valdez Showers, wide receiver from Florida. Michael Cooper, tight end from Indiana. Shiro Davis, linebacker from Texas. Maurice Harris, wide receiver from Cal. And Geno Mattias Smith, safety from Alabama. The names that jump off the board to me on this one is obviously that Kevin Bowen guy. I'm going to go ahead and just talk about him for a second. Actually, I don't think I listed him in this list. Oh, there he is, Kevin Bowen. Okay.
6'9", 330, man. Big boy.
Yeah, his name wasn't highlighted like the other ones. That's the other one I forgot to mention. Kevin Bowen, offensive tackle from East Central Oklahoma. 6'9", 330 pounds. He's bigger than our buddy, what's his name, Ty Inseki.
Friend of the show, Ty Inseki.
So, yeah, let me go ahead and point this out. I mean, there's a highlight tape of him doing stuff and tossing people around like a rag doll. That's cute.
At East Central or Oklahoma.
Think of it like this: Michael Orr in The Blind Side in high school. That's who he was in that highlight film.
Wow, nasty.
But it's not good.
It's level of competition, is what you're saying.
It's level of competition. He's going against guys that are just,
not quality
so much
players
smaller,
in terms of
not
NFL.
quality players. So much smaller, so much, like they don't deserve to be out there with him. He's a man amongst boys out there, and he just tosses dudes around because he has that ability to.
Well, Robbie,
they're smaller than him and all that.
The fans are obviously very excited about this guy because of that video. But tell us specifically from a technique standpoint what he does not do, because I really want to make sure everybody out there understands that we're not just hating on the guy, but what you have seen specific things with your expertise to.
If you listeners out there, don't classify me as hating on him. I don't hate him. I don't think he's, a shitty player or anything. I look at it as a guy that has the physical tools that you look for. You can't teach size, obviously. But you look at him on film, he is slow, no feet. He doesn't use his hands at all. Only uses his hands to grab guys and toss them. That's a hold, by the way. I mean, pretty much every highlight in that clip of his is a hold.
It's a hold.
Hey, Robbie, I got a question for you about the whole height thing. When people see a 6'9" player, they get excited just because they think, big is good.
Right.
And in certain positions, it's a premium, like receivers.
Right.
But as an O-lineman, now you're what? You're 6'4".
6'4".
Yeah. Like, isn't there a point where you hit a height where you're almost going to be too tall because you're talking about length
from a leverage
of the
standpoint.
legs and stuff like that?
No, I mean, as long as you play with the technique that you're supposed to play with and use your leverage. I mean, if a guy like that's 6'9" uses his leverage, I mean, it's going to be really hard to beat him. It's because you can generate a lot of power. When you're 6'9", coming from low to high, that is just boom. It's like that torque as they talk about.
But my point is that leverage is also going to be harder for him because of his height.
Yeah, and he doesn't seem like a really good athlete to be able to play low. That's my initial thought. I hope that Callahan can reach him and actually teach him how to play offensive line. But man, I really hope people don't get their hopes up about this guy.
Well, I think he's the latest infatuation. Every training camp we have an infatuation, by some guy coming out of the blue, and just based on the Twitter explosion yesterday, he kind of may be it. But listen, I mean, he's 6'9". There's the reason why there's not been a lot of 6'9" offensive linemen in the NFL is that people who are 6'9" and have 300-pound plus frames don't grow on trees.
That's true.
Like Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant is 6'9". No matter what they list him at, he's 6'9". The guy's a beanpole. There just aren't a lot of guys with the body structure and muscle mass who are just that big. That's why there's not. I think Jonathan Ogden was 6'8". He's about the biggest
6'8".
guy I can think of. That succeeded in the NFL. So to me,
it's physical frame too.
That's what I mean. Look at Kevin Durant. The guy's a beanpole. And I'll leave the expertise, on the O-line stuff to Robbie. My only question about him is whether or not he's coachable. A guy like that, he's got the physical size. Will he be receptive to Callahan's teachings, or is he just stubborn? That's
why he was signed to us. That's why he's an undrafted free agent that we signed. Because I'm sure they're, chomping at the bit to coach this kid up and see what they can do with him. Because if everything does click, the guy could be a monster.
Yeah.
At 6'9", I don't know how long his arms are, but they got to be at least 35 inches.
Sure.
Unless he's shaped like a Tyrannosaurus Rex.
Obviously at 6'9", you're going to have long arms, so that makes it easier to keep the pass rushers away. So,
look at Ty.
The tools are there.
Look at Ty Secchi. Ty Secchi's just a smidgen shorter, and a smidgen lighter, and he's worked out real well for us. He's coachable.
Yeah, because he's coachable, and he has very crisp technique. Like, it's very fluid, very technical.
Sure.
And that's what helps him out big time.
But let's also keep in mind, Ty, he's been around for a while too.
And he's got a good head on his shoulders. We don't know if this guy Bowen is an idiot, or if he's smart or dumb, or who knows. We don't know anything about him.
And Secchi, he played in different leagues, so he's had to develop into what he is now. And so we have to, keep those little things in mind too.
Put it this way. The bottom line is what, Robbie? No, go ahead.
Bottom line, he's got the tools you look for in a left tackle. He's got the tenacity, the toughness that you want. That's not coachable either. You either have it or you don't at this point in your career as a football player. So can he learn the techniques that you need to succeed in the NFL? That's the big question. And I'm sure that's the same question the front office is asking themselves, and I'm sure they're excited to coach him up.
Sure.
I think the odds of this guy being on the 53 going into week 1 are slim and none. And slim's.
He could be a practice squad player.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I think you're looking at practice squad with this guy, unless he just blows up out of nowhere. That could who knows. But I think this is a practice squad long-term project guy to get him to become what Robbie would deem to be an NFL quality lineman from a technique standpoint.
He's a prospect for an arena team, is what he is.
That makes you excited.
Player ever.
Well, what about? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Robbie.
I was going to just list off a couple other.
That's exactly what I was going to ask. Go for him.
Yeah, Tevin Carter's kind of a sleeper. Apparently, I've seen a couple tweets from different NFL reporters and analysts saying that Tevin Carter was one of the sleeper undrafted free agent pickups after the draft.
Nice.
He's one of those huge, heavy-hitting type safeties. He's 6'1", 218. He'll hit you. I haven't really watched much of his film, but I do know that he'll hit you, which is good. We like that tenacity on our football team.
Sure.
Oh, yeah.
Reggie Diggs, the receiver from Richmond, he's got size on him. We love size, and he's 6'4", 200 pounds.
Another 6'4" guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's not blazing fast, but he's got size, so he could be our Marco Mitchell.
Yeah. It's got to be tough to come onto a team right now where you've already got 2 established starters at wide receiver.
Yeah.
They just drafted another guy in the first round, and they had a very quality rookie receiver last year. It's got to take a little bit of guts for a receiver to decide to come play for the Redskins.
These guys aren't in the position they are because they're not competitors.
I understand that.
Well, he also must be happy that he's tied for the tallest receiver on the team. That might make him a little more pleased.
Well, let's not compare it to Marco Mitchell, because Marco Mitchell did not make the team.
Anthony Mix.
Anthony Mix got in legal
Anthony
troubles.
Mix. I said that because I was fans would see him as the big, huge receiver that they'd fall in love with in camp.
I believe Anthony Mix later got in legal trouble, if I recall.
Yeah, he did.
So let's maybe not want to invoke that.
We're not talking about that. We're just talking about the size.
I know.
Yeah. Plus, who doesn't get into legal trouble these days?
No, I don't want to get into it.
He got in
actual trouble, real trouble. Yeah.
He's in. I think he might have gone to jail for a while.
Another name that sticks out is the lineman from Alabama, Dominique Jackson. He was their right tackle, but he's not going to be playing tackle in the NFL. He's not quick enough, not fast enough, foot speed slow, but he's projected to be a guard for us. Big dude, 6'5", 313. Who knows what could happen with him? I've liked what little I've seen of him. He pushes people in the running game. I mean, the pass pro was not as stellar because he's playing tackle against speed rushers, but who knows? Maybe at guard he could be better. The other guy I really like, I watched a lot of his film actually because I saw his highlight tape and had to watch more, is the fullback from Michigan, Joe Carriage. This dude is one mean son of a bitch. He epitomizes Scott McLuhan's football player mentality.
Somewhere
He can
out
do it
there, Daryl Young is cursing your name.
Well, I'm sorry, Daryl. I mean, Joe Carriage, he's not the same type of player as you. Darrell Young, you blocked really well. You were a finesse type fullback. You were a good receiving fullback. But Carriage is that. What's the good comparison? What's the guy for Green Bay? Is it Kuhn?
Kuhn.
Yeah.
Okay.
I see.
Didn't he
I
get
see
cut
Kuhn.
or something?
I don't know.
I think he just did.
I see Kuhn in him. He's a little bit meaner than Kuhn too. Like the guy literally will not stop blocking his man until after the whistle is blown.
Nice.
It's very rare that the man that he blocks is not on the ground after he's done blocking him. I mean, the guy, he will just punish you. I mean, every linebacker he goes to hit, like in an ISO play, lead back type thing, they end up on the ground 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, but Jake Gruden does not use fullbacks.
No, yeah, you're right, and I don't know if there's even a chance he'll make the team, but I like how he plays the game of football.
Now, he's a little bigger than Young, I think, right? Height, like another inch or two?
I don't have his
okay.
measurables on me, but
Because the one thing I always wonder about with a fullback is, I mean, did you get any good highlights of him in the receiving game, in the short yardage game, running the ball, anything like that,
Yeah,
or is he really just a blocker?
No, he got some carries, short yardage. He got some goal line carries, and he scored on a couple. He received on some play action passes, but he's not a fast dude. Like as soon as he catches the ball, he's getting tackled.
Gotcha.
I'm all for signing,
And that's the bigger difference. But
I'm all for signing whoever's good to the practice squad. I just, when you're on a Jay Gruden team, I don't hold out hope that the fullback's going to get a big role.
No, and my guess is that he'll just be that number 2 H-back behind Niles Paul for the offense, because you need bodies in camp, and he'll probably just be that second H-back just to fill a position for the other 2 players, 2 or 3.
All right.
The other guys, there's not really anybody else that sticks out. We got a couple edge players. Anthony Lanier, he's a DN from Alabama A&M. He was one of the first guys that we signed after the draft. Apparently, what's his name? Doug Williams loved him.
Really?
That was his. Yeah, I think that that was the one that he was very adamant about our team signing. So,
well,
who knows?
I'd like to point out that the quarterback that we mentioned last week, Adams from Oregon, I guess did not sign with us because he was not among those 14 players. So we are, as of this moment, going into training camp with the 3 quarterbacks.
Well, 3 amigos.
Have we had our rookie tryout yet, though? Our rookie minicamp thing?
No, not yet.
I think that's this week.
Yeah, I think he's supposed to be going to that unless he did sign with the Seahawks.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. So the fact that, let's just clarify here, because I know a lot of people are confused. The 14 players we're talking about actually signed contracts with us. Off-season contracts, but they are signed to the team. The other group of players that are going to come in this week are just tryout players. They have been invited to try out. The 14 players we're talking about have been signed as undrafted free agents. That doesn't mean they're going to be on the team, when the season starts. Doesn't mean they're not going to be cut because a bunch of them are going to be cut. But those guys are signed. And so a lot of times you see this chatter on the news and on, blurps and this and that, where somebody is going to the Redskins. What all they're really talking about is tryout. And that's where we are with this Adams character, the quarterback from Oregon. is I guess he's getting a tryout. So there's a difference.
Yeah.
And just
That's just like totally off my radar.
Well,
feel free to
need-
eat during the podcast, Sean. I'm glad
They
He's like
do
Brad
need to
Pitt
have,
in
you know,
Ocean's 11, 12, and all them.
Hey,
He's always eating.
You're not you when you're hungry, guys. Try
But
Snickers.
and I'll just real quick, remember, you guys know this, but we are now back under the rule of 51 for a
Right.
contract for salary cap purposes. That is the off-season rule that says only the top 51 contracts count towards the salary cap, and that is the mechanism that they use to be able to bring in 90 players without having a salary cap problem.
Now, when guys are brought in for a tryout, are they given a tryout, like not even a contract, but like a stipend or something, Steve? Do you
Per
know?
diem.
A per diem?
There may be, I believe there might be a per diem. It's not a lot of money.
Yeah, but they
but
need
they're
to be
only
able to like have a hotel room.
It's,
or
it's
something.
better
yeah,
than
yeah.
jury duties, $15 a day or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, they're not going to live in a car in the parking lot of Redskins.
Pat on the back.
Park. Yeah, certainly the team pays for that, but these tryouts are like a day, 2 days. I
Right.
believe they get some sort of per diem, and I'm sure the team puts them up, in a hotel.
They sleep in the practice bubble, the collapsed practice bubble.
No, they threw out the practice bubble.
Oh yeah, it was in the dumpster last time we saw it. That's right.
Well, I'm sure they've probably replaced it by now. I would assume, since we're about to have OTAs start in a little bit.
I asked Mike Jones in one of his mailbags about that, and he didn't really. I think he said it is being replaced, but they haven't done it yet.
There was a really awesome photograph of the bubble literally in a dumpster.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what
it
I
was
mean.
Great.
Hilarious.
I really think we need to move on from a bubble and actually just build a structure.
yeah,
for-
maybe a permanent structure that doesn't
Yeah.
deflate.
Or a moat.
The
boat.
sound you heard was the sound of Dan Snyder's wallet clamping shut.
Yeah. All right.
All
Well,
right.
on that note, let's move on then to our next topic. We are in the groove today, guys. We're taking so long. Well, let's move on to this next thing, though. I believe, Steve, you had this. This was the.
Yeah. There was some chatter this week about the uniforms. I saw an article on 24. The source of this is Jamie Oakes at 247sports.com. There's your plug, Mr. Oakes. But the article was pointing out that some of the players obviously this past year wanted to dump the burgundy or the gold pants rather.
Right, they wanted to go all whites.
Yeah, they want to go all white.
I want to just stop you here and firmly state those pants are not gold. Those are straight up bumblebee yellow pants. I don't want to hear none of this
Right.
gold nonsense because those are not gold, damn it.
But
they're
we've been calling it gold, and it's been that color since the 60s.
yeah, they're
Yeah.
piss yellow. Let's be real.
Yeah.
I don't like them either.
Well, I got news for you. Our
That's dehydrated
jerseys aren't
piss.
burgundy either. That's just red.
But I'm at least okay with that. I hate the yellow.
I love the burgundy and gold personally, but that's me.
I wish we would go to, like a kind of what they wear in the throwbacks, the dark burgundy and real gold.
Exactly. Like, why can't we get the real gold like the 49ers wear gold pants? That's what I want for our gold.
I want us to go back to the white jerseys, burgundy pants.
I'd be cool with that.
What we were wearing when we won Super Bowls.
And I think that's what
I'd be
this
cool with that.
article was about, actually, is there's some talk that they want to kind of throw back to the 1980s look where they wear white jerseys at home.
I'm all for that shit.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, the controversy stems from the fact that we have a Thursday game this year, which
Right.
is the Thanksgiving Day game, and the Thursday night games this past year were those horrible color rush uniforms that were just god awful. And so the question was whether the Redskins were going to be forced to have to wear color rush uniforms, and so if that was the case, was it going to be black on black? And,
Yeah,
and
there
Bruce
was some
Allen
talk about
definitively
that.
said, Bruce Allen definitively said no black on black, and it was not Bruce Allen.
Larry Michael said
Michael.
no black on black.
goodness.
He thinks it's stupid, and
I don't.
which is amazing. I actually
hate
agree
it.
with Larry Michael on something.
Not a fan of the black on black look, the man in black, Johnny Cash.
I am.
To me, it reeks of like bad '90s uniforms.
I mean,
You
who are the teams that do that right now? The Ravens have a uniform like that they wear sometimes.
Falcons.
Falcons have that sometimes.
Jaguars.
Did the Jaguars have that?
They
Yeah.
I guess,
they still do
I guess
all
you're
black
right. I guess they do, yeah.
with their weird
occasionally.
helmet.
Someone else does too.
Oh, Eagles.
Oh,
And
the
it looks
Eagles, of course.
awful with the Eagles. It makes no sense.
Actually,
Because they got those
I actually
green
like the
helmets,
Eagles
yeah.
black jerseys.
I'm just going to say right now that if I ever see the Redskins in black on black, that might be the end of my fandom, okay?
Oh, my God.
That's hard.
You can't join
It
it.
is the worst thing ever. It is
The
awful.
49ers did it
I
last
don't
year. It
care
looked
what
terrible.
the 49ers do. Our colors are burgundy and gold.
Right.
With a twin, with white as road jerseys. Black is not a Redskin color. It's not going to be a Redskin color. It never has been a Redskin color. It's just the worst thing in the history.
little, man.
Yeah, it's just an alternate uniform.
I think it will be the worst thing in recorded history.
Well,
Oh
here's
my
my thing.
God.
I wish the color rush thing would just go away and they would
terrible.
just make Thursday night games Throwback Thursdays. That's the
I'd
night
be
where
okay with
everyone wears
that.
their throwback jersey and be happy.
I may have to not watch a game in which the Redskins are wearing black on black. That's
Well,
how
the
much
pro-
I hate it.
I don't understand that.
Yeah, I don't.
It's
I,
awful. It
I
is
don't
not
get that
the
upset about it,
Redskins.
but
it is not the
I
Redskins.
agree that I don't like the look.
We're not the Raiders.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, the only thing that's bad about, I mean, first of all, look at Robbie's uniform, right? Look at the
Yes.
uniform he wore when he played. That's actually pretty badass. Now,
It's badass.
the
exactly.
the one
but
thing
that's
I'll
the
say
team
though,
colors.
Robbie, and you have to admit
no,
this.
No, their
We
team
weren't-
colors are blue and white or blue and gray.
blue, gray, and white.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at a blue uniform that Robbie's wearing.
Well, hold on. I just want
My
to.
pic-
I just
my
want to say this.
picture, I'm
That's
not
like
wearing
navy,
right now.
navy blue, so it's practically black. But the only difference is, and Robbie, you do have to admit this: the burgundy helmet on the black uniform probably will look pretty janky.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. They won't let us change the helmet.
The helmet.
Yeah.
The helmet will be
Black
the
is not
sticking
a Redskin
point.
color, people. Black is not a Redskin color. It never.
We're
has
talking about
been.
one game a year or
It's an
I
something.
don't care.
alternate uniform.
It's not a Redskin color, and it's never going to be a Redskin color.
Oh God.
No.
Steve's sucking his thumb right now. You can't
We
see
all
at home,
laugh.
buddy.
I like tradition. There's no reason to break tradition. We have tradition on this team. It's an 80-year-old franchise.
It's not like we're changing this uniform into our regular every Sunday thing. It'd just be a one-game thing.
One
By the way,
Sunday
Nike
is
did want to
one too
try and
many.
change our uniform when they first got the contract.
Nike
Wait, say that
tried to
again?
do a lot of things to the uniforms when they got
Yeah.
the contract, and they were politely told no.
Yeah. But we were their number one team they wanted to update.
I don't know who dreamed up black. I just can't fathom a worse thing to do in terms of uniforms and put.
No, it was a
burgundy and
very
gold
popular
Redskins in
thing to
black.
do back in the 90s. That's when it came into style.
And
Yeah.
I'll
See, I'm
just
not
say
against
that.
it.
I hate the white on white too. I don't like that either. You know,
Oh,
I like
gosh.
the white on white.
Joe
I
Gibbs
like
loved the
on
white on
burgundy.
white.
See, I think the white on white looks good at night games because it really bounces. It
our
pops
color
more
isn't white.
in the
We're burgundy
lights.
and gold. You know, we have to have burgundy and gold, burgundy and or gold.
First of all, everybody has a white alternate uniform. That's like got to be the most common away uniform ever. Is like all white.
Well, it came into place when we had TV. You know,
there you go.
Up until like the 1950s, most teams didn't have a white uniform. The
Well,
Redskins didn't have one for the first 20 years. They only wore burgundy and gold.
Listen, you guys.
I don't
know
go
I'm
back
a
to-
traditional person. I don't. I appreciate
You, Steve?
the history and tradition of it. There's no reason to go nuts and crazy and do some stupid Raiders color black on black. It's just a terrible idea. And I'm
It
glad
wouldn't
that
just be
Bruce-
black though. You'd have
I don't
burgundy
care.
and gold in the
I don't care.
I wouldn't mind it.
accents of
Don't
the
care.
uniform.
I
Oh,
would
but
rather them do the all burgundy look again, and that was awful.
I hated that.
Yeah, I know,
rather
man.
do all
pajamas?
burgundy than
The
black.
pajamas. But Steve, then all the fans could have black uniforms. We could lovingly call the stadium the Black Hole, and we could stab everybody in the stands all the time. What could be better than that, Steve?
Well, that might drum up some legal work. So I might be, if you can do
Maybe,
that,
maybe
that'd
not.
be good.
All I'm saying is, if that ever came to be, I'm buying a black Redskins jersey.
Well, they sell black Redskins jerseys, Robbie.
yeah,
You can buy them.
but not.
He wants
it's
the
not-
real deal.
Yeah, it's not like an official thing. It's just like,
Well,
here's a black Redskins jersey.
Yeah,
well,
just
thank
like the
God-
pink ones
well,
for the
thank
ladies.
goodness- well, thank goodness Bruce Allen has a brain in his head and does not listen to the three of you, and has definitively said no.
I said
I'm just
no
saying
to
to
the
live a
black
little.
jersey. What are
You
you
can
talking
change
about?
it up here and there. You don't have to be a stick in the mud and just stick to one thing every
It is
time.
tradition.
Amen.
It is not-
We're gonna
It
give
is
Robbie
and-
the last
and
word on
I,
that one.
I
No,
love
Robbie's not
tradition.
getting the last word on this.
We can't talk about black uniforms anymore, guys. We have two more things we have to get through really, really quickly. One of them's
Okay.
our user poll, but before we do that, let's just move from this thing that Steve hates
Black
to the
jerseys.
next thing that Steve hates, which would be Mr. Matt Jones.
Jones.
So please talk to us about Matt Jones real quick to
we're
close
gonna
out
do
the
this
show
real
here,
fast,
Steve.
Yeah, we got a listener question. Why do you guys not like Matt Jones? But when they say you guys, it's
They mean you.
Yeah, it's you.
Yeah.
Because you're the voice of us on Twitter, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, at least during the
Hogstye
weekend,
Twitter
during the
voice.
work week, I am. And here's why. Matt Jones had 3 out of 13 games in which he averaged over 4 yards per carry. There were games when he had substantial carries and averaged under 3 yards per carry. In one game, under 2 yards per carry. The results for me are not there. There are other rookies and other young backs that have achieved historically much better results than Matt Jones got. I think he has all the physical tools. He's not seeming to me to have the vision. I don't care about the fumbling problem, okay? I mean, the fumbling, people can overcome that. And if it persists, that's another thing. But he has not produced results. And aside from one game early in the season when he went crazy, he didn't show me any reason to think that he's gonna take a substantial step forward. It's a statistical thing with me. When you're averaging less than 2 and 3 yards per carry, you can't be a franchise back.
Well, he did do pretty good in the passing game. You have to give him that, though.
He had his moments.
I think he had 300 yards receiving.
He had his
Lots of
moments.
backs can do that. That's
Not
special.
really. I think he was in the top 10 of running backs when it came to receiving yards. I don't know offhand, but to me, I think you're still being too harsh because none of our running backs did very well.
No, that's
Yeah,
why
that's so
I
true.
said after the season that Morris probably needs to go. We need to draft somebody to give competition to Jones.
By the way, I watched some highlight videos of the kid we drafted in the 7th round.
he's explosive, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's fast.
Yeah, he
I'm
is speedy.
really excited about him.
He'll definitely be the change of a pace, and if he can catch I mean, this is the one thing I don't know about. Can he catch the ball?
No,
Yes.
he's a pure runner, is what I heard.
Really?
What I hear.
He's caught a few here and there. He's not like a LaShawn McCoy type receiving back, but he can catch.
He
the
can
ball.
do it. See, that could be huge for us if he can keep that up.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the summary to this argument is the answer to the listener's question is
Only Steve actually hates Matt Jones, to answer your question.
and Rick Snyder kind of said it. When we asked him about it, he said he just wasn't very good. Matt
Yeah.
Jones just wasn't very good last year.
But
And
but to Alex's
No.
point, no one was good, and we know there's so many problems with the run game that it's kind of
Yeah.
hard to evaluate the talent you've got in terms of running backs.
hopefully
And to
he'll get
sum
better.
up Steve's summary,
Yeah, to sum up the summary, yeah.
I'm just giving you the numbers. The man
know.
averaged
Damn kid.
the man averaged 3.4 yards per carry.
No,
That
but
isn't
hey,
franchise back quality.
you're the guy who hates, stats and PFF and that kind of thing.
No,
and
what
the
I
fact
don't
of the
like
matter is
about
that doesn't tell the
PFF
whole story.
What I don't like about I don't even want to get into PFF. I'm
I
okay
know.
with the PFF raw number stats. It's their rankings that bother me.
I mean, I totally hear what you're saying, and let's be honest, Matt Jones wasn't, blowing anyone's socks off last year, but we had plenty of issues. So, anyways, that answers your question. Whoever asked that, I believe we also had a poll. Steve, is that correct?
Yeah,
Did
last
we?
thing here before we close the show out, we asked the listeners to give a draft grade now that the draft is over.
Well, wait, let's recap ours first. Both Steve and I think Robbie and I gave B pluses. Steve, you gave a B, and Alex gave a B minus, I think?
Right.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
sounds
let's
right.
hear what you thought, you at
The
home.
listeners, 63% of the listeners gave an A.
Bam!
33% of the listeners gave a B. 3% of listeners gave a C, which is a meh grade, and then 1% said it was god awful.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
who the
1%.
hell thinks it was god awful?
There's always one in every fan base.
I bet you that was different cat.
Shout out.
Probably.
Yeah, I have
So
a few
thanks to
ideas
those
who
who
that could have
participated
been.
in this week's listener poll.
Yeah.
You guys thought it was a better draft than we did.
Yeah.
For the
Well,
most part.
I mean, we all know. I think we all subscribe to this theory that you don't judge a draft until 3 years out.
Right.
So
Yeah.
we'll really see in a couple of years.
I'm still seeing articles regrading the 2012 draft. That was 4 years ago now. So, yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it all comes in hindsight, really. But anyways, thank you for participating in that poll. We're going to keep them coming. Very fun. Thank you for the interaction. We love you guys. And that, I think, wraps us up for today. I think we're all going to now spend like 15 minutes talking about Game of Thrones. Because
Except
what
for me,
it...
who hasn't seen it still? 'cause
Yeah, I
was out of
can't-
country.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, watch it. It was one of this past one was one of the best episodes.
Well,
of all
Alex,
time, so.
here are the spoilers.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
all I'm gonna say, this Sunday's episode is the Tower of Joy, and I am extremely excited.
We're going to good
If you're a
places
Game of
this
Thrones
season.
fan, you know what the Tower of Joy is and what happened there. So, big episode.
Big
Yeah,
episode.
big things coming up. So anyways, we will see you next time, and maybe we'll have a few minutes to talk about that too. So you should be so lucky. So
Or Stream of Nerdness.
Stream of
Talk about
Nerdness.
Game of
Yes, that hasn't died. If you were following us on Stream of Nerdness, just stick around. We've slowed down on it, but we're coming back. So
Seems
Yeah,
like
we
it's
did 2
on.
episodes.
we didn't. I don't know. We didn't post any of them. So I don't know how you would have heard it. So if you
There
hacked
may
our
be a
computers
working
and
part
lost
out there somewhere.
it. All right. Well, we'll let these people freaking go about their lives. Thank you guys for being with us, and we will see you next week. Take care.
Later.
Hail. Is this Sparta?